I have some bad news. We increased our per unit pricing on all of our products, so your pricing is going to go up 15%. So now the problem is, so let me get this straight. I haven't heard from you. I'm not getting the full value, and you're going to charge me more. What? Like, what are you talking about?
Welcome to Insights for IT Negotiations, a podcast by Upper Edge, a leading IT sourcing, negotiation, and project execution advisory firm. I'm John Belden, Upper Edge's Chief Research and Strategy Officer.
And I'm Kylie Chisholm, Upper Edge's Marketing Manager. Join us every other week as we share insights to help you maximize the value of your key IT relationships. In each episode, we'll delve into the topics that matter most to IT decision makers and sourcing professionals.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Insights for IT Negotiations podcast. I am joined once again by our practice leader, Adam Mansfield. Adam, this is our first episode of 2026 together.
I know. It's been too long.
I know.
It's almost Valentine's Day. What's going on here?
I know. We took a brief hiatus, but we're back, and we're coming in with a really interesting episode to kick off the year. We're going to be talking about SaaS vendor frustrations. We're looking at customer frustrations, why they're frustrated with their SaaS vendors, diving into all of that. I think this is especially a great topic to start the year off with. We have all of 2025 to look back on, and because we're recording a little bit later into 2026, we can talk a little bit about what we're seeing in this new year already. And go from there. So what do you say we just jump right into it?
Love it. Always ready.
So the first question I have for you is, if you had to identify some of the most often heard criticisms or complaints that enterprise customers have with their SaaS vendor relationships, what would you say they would be?
So yeah, I mean, besides the obvious one, the first one is like, oh, I'm paying too much money, right? Like, and that's fine, fair. And that's where Upper Edge obviously would come in. Yeah. To ensure that's not the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, ultimately there's a couple of things going on right now. And I think a lot of this is ratcheted up, as you were talking about, right? End of last year, already in this year. The biggest one is, how do they keep, or why do they keep insisting on pushing more products, upgrading, consider our AI offering, consider our services, premium support. Why are they talking about that when I, the customer, continue to talk to them about, I don't get the value out of what I already have? Like, it's universally, doesn't matter what vendor, it's universally the thing that continues to come up. And I think it stems for a lot of things. Look, there's economic conditions, right? Tight margins if you're a retailer, so forth and so on. Like, it is hard right now to justify spending the millions of dollars that our customers do, and then they have to show a report that shows that they're not using all of the function, all of the features. And yes, in talking through this, there's an emotional component to this. Sometimes they come off the ledge a little bit because they also know that, look, they, the customer, have some responsibility in this, right? So like, yes, we probably didn't put enough energy in making sure that all of our employees use this feature. So they own that. But generally speaking, this transitions to, I'll call it 1B of their complaint. So after they're over that hurdle, they take some of the responsibility. They've seen the static reports. The next thing that they immediately say, and sometimes and I hate to say this, I nudge them a little bit. I don't want to get them upset. But I say, so have they done anything? When's the last time you talked to your sales rep? When's the last time you talked to the vendor? And this is where now you see the paint color turn to red. It's like, I don't know. The last time I heard from them, they wanted to have a coffee and talk about Agent Force or Now Assist or Copilot or pick your favorite AI offering.
Yeah.
So that's it's like, okay, why haven't you proactively been coming in and saying, hey, look, I noticed you guys really haven't rolled this out yet, or I noticed I was talking to someone, there's been some change management issues. Like, what? Be proactive. Like, where are you?
Yeah.
And I think that goes hand in glove, but I think they're also distinct, because it also brings me to this next piece in terms of a complaint or a frustration that's felt. Let's fast forward. A lot of customers we work with, they're in the midst of their renewal negotiations. So now all this is the backdrop. Haven't gotten the full value, expected value, the ROI. Some of it we have to take responsibility for. I haven't heard from the sales or product teams at the vendor in a long time. Now, these same vendors will come to them and say, hey, you know what? I have some bad news. We increased our per unit pricing on all of our products, so your pricing is going to go up 15%. So now the problem is, so let me get this straight. I haven't heard from you. I'm not getting the full value, and you're going to charge me more. What? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I could maybe justify paying a little more if there's more than I'm going to use. I could maybe even justify some level of an increase because the last time we did business was 3 years ago, and I'm getting the full value and everyone's excited and ROI. Great, maybe, but you're really going to walk in and do that? Like, how tone deaf are you?
Yeah. How
tone deaf are you? And the last one, and I know we want to keep this concise, right? We want to keep everyone's attention, but there's one more I need to say. It ties together. And I'm telling you, this is also feels 2026 rampant.
Yeah.
The other complaint is I just got a whole new sales team. The person that I've been working with for 3, 5, 4, whatever years, gone. And they just stuck me with, and no offense to this person, they could be great, but I'm a pretty big customer. And now I got to get up to speed with all these new people. And some of them have only been at this vendor for 6 months.
Yeah.
I spend $10 million a year. I'm not using the full products, all these things. And now I got a new team? Yeah. What? Now again, step back a little. Obviously in this country, it's, you can't just force people to be employed. It's not slavery. So if someone wants to leave, we get it. But it's so widespread that it's also a frustration that has ramped up in 2026.
Totally. Yeah. Would you say it's fair to say that with AI and with the consumption-based models that we're seeing, that's only going to get worse in 2020 as 2026 goes on? 2025 was kind of the year that those were, I don't want to say introduced, but you know what I mean? They became really center. And now do you think vendors are going to really double down on those things?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, I think you and I, let's put a marker down. We should do one just on this topic, but I will tell you specifically, it's a great point. Because what's going to end up happening is consumption-based pricing, right? Everyone, if they don't, there's plenty of content that we produce. We'll do one about this as well. But here's the deal. You get in, you start tasting it and using it, and then no one really understands what use is. There's change management, organizational governance, and it starts spinning. And then it's like, what? So now it's not only just, am I getting the value from the thing? And AI is a whole other topic. Put a marker down. We should talk about just AI in general.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm getting the expected value. The C-suite's paying attention to this. We spent millions of dollars. And then on top of it, I don't even really understand the licensing model and how it spends. So the combinations is a good point. The combination of the two, lost value, how am I getting more value? And the model is driven by just, it's going like this. Absolutely, this is going to become an even bigger issue. And an added problem that customers have to be way ahead of, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we can definitely, let's put a pin in it. We'll dive deeper at another time.
In that.
But you started to dive into this a little bit, but what other advice do you have for these customers when they come to you with these complaints?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest and again, not to be philosophical, but I do think we're all humans, right? I think there is an element of where you have to kind of step back, right? You have to always step back. What am I actually complaining about, right? So in other words, really assess the situation. And what I mean by that is, how confident and how granular are you in the usage, right? Are you just hey, I was talking to Bob in accounting and he's telling me he doesn't know how to turn on Teams. So or is it widespread? How many features? Granular. So you got to arm yourself with that, right? You got to take a step back. I would, this is not a plug in any way for someone like us in our firm, because I don't really do that. But I would tell you that you got to get a line of sight as like what's going on in the market. Like, is it just your problem and maybe you need to look at yourself, or is it like widespread? You should care about yourself, obviously, but like get a sense for what's going on outside of your own walls.
Yeah.
I think so. Arm yourself. I also think look, this is really important. It's a human thing again. Like, call on these executive relationships. I mean, it shouldn't have to get to that, but there's a reason you hopefully have them in place, right? Like, it's not just so you can meet up at someone's conference and get shuffled around during the executive talk track and fly the helicopter around Vegas when you're at ServiceNow Knowledge. It's like, use these relationships. But I would also tell you that you have to be careful when you use those relationships, because they're not always as productive as you would hope they're to be, right? So, but I would lean on those. And then the third thing is arm yourself, lean on relationships. Look, I think there's an element where you have to, it's never too early to start thinking about how you're going to take this point in time and leverage it when it comes time to negotiate. Meaning, you can be all upset in March or February, right? All upset February 2026, and then your renewal is June of 27. Mm-hmm. Use the time you have to hopefully correct it. And if it can't get corrected, build this into your negotiation strategy. So when the time comes when dollars are put on the table, you have a story armed with where have you been versus just bringing it up at that point in time. You lost months of building leverage through their inabilities to address your issues.
Did you know that UpperEdge offers subscription advisory services? This on-demand solution provides essential benchmarks and market insights specific to your business needs precisely when you need it, empowering you and your team to make informed decisions for your IT initiatives. Position your team for success. Reach out today via the link in the show notes to learn more.
So now I want to dive into some of the challenges and risks you are seeing right now in the world of SaaS contracting and their associated negotiations. So first, where do customers and their teams, so the procurement side, IT, line of business, all of those different teams, where do they most often lose leverage in SaaS negotiations? And what can they do differently?
Yeah, listen, it's interesting how this all works out. I'm going to go back to that human thing and the human component to this. I think one of the biggest problems that I'm seeing is, and look, there's no judgment in this. The people that you just listed, procurement, IT, line of business, they're all very busy.
Yeah.
They all have other things going on. So let's take Microsoft. It doesn't matter what vendor. You have to create an environment where there is internal communicating and alignment on what's going on, so that when someone communicates to that vendor the concerns, they actually are true. As an example, if procurement picks the phone up and says, well, we're really upset, we're not getting the full value, we're spending too much money, I want to talk. But the line of business executive, the head of sales who uses Salesforce and loves it, gets a phone call. Hey, I just talked to Billy over in procurement and he's all upset. And she's like, what do you mean? I love the product. You guys are great. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
All right. And then IT, like, what are their expectations? Alignment on the message, just in alignment. Talk to each other. Talk first before you volley over to the vendor. It's so critically important. And if you don't have that figured out, the vendors do.
Yeah.
The vendors know how to operate. That's what their job is. Second thing, and again, there's no judgment in this, but one of the biggest problems that I'm seeing right now, one of the biggest obstacles, one of the biggest things that's in the way of success is, again, having a irrational belief in what good looks like. So in other words, look, we work with so many customers and we give them the benchmarks. This is what you should be having. This is your protections, investment funding. And they may, I want something better. Cool. We'll still work to go get you something better. And we do it sometimes.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's when you tell them what the reality of the situation is and you want to not acknowledge it. It's one thing to go fight for better. Fine. But at some point, if you can't take your ball and go home, meaning if you're going to have to still stay with Microsoft, at some point you have to push the button and move from VR world into real world. And you have to understand that. So again, don't hear me push for it, and we can help you with that. But you got to understand what's real. What can they actually do? Which brings me to my third point on this. You cannot look at things in a siloed manner. This, to me, is ratcheted up from a focus. I get cost cutting, ROI, savings, 100%, deeper discounting, upfront costs, times are tough, margins, all of it. I get it.
Yeah.
But if you're not looking at interim price protections, renewal protections, swap rights, and all these other things, you could really be setting yourself up for massive exposure. Once you sign, the vendor will make up for any discounting that you maybe think you got. Mm-hmm. They will make up for it. And that is 100% the case in 2026 moving forward. Because all of these vendors are on critical pressure to show future revenue opportunity. And if you don't have protections, you don't have they're going to spin the wheel, increasing your spend in term to make the financial community happy. Mm-hmm. And you carry and foot the bill. And that short-sightedness is a massive problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what separates Upper Edge apart from a lot of other firms is we want cost savings, to your point. We want you to save on your contracts. We want you getting the best price possible. And also you have to see the forest through the trees a little bit. It goes
100%.
way beyond cutting the price. And that's where, to your point, internal alignment, expectation setting, smart negotiating, like that's where all of that comes into play. They all work hand in hand.
100%. 100%.
So then what would you say are the hidden risks in SaaS contracts that enterprises too often overlook and don't get adequately addressed?
Yeah. So, I love how you always do this. Now you're going to drill in on something I said, which I like. Challenge me. It's always good. So, yes. So I named two of them, but I'm going to go a little deeper and I'm going to name a third. The one that is all over the place right now. Okay. And I'm telling you, I hate to say there's a motive behind this or there's trickery, right? But I've been doing this a long time. Do not assume that when you negotiated your upfront price and you do a 3-year deal or a 5-year deal, do not assume anymore that when you buy more over that term, you're going to pay that upfront price. Pay very, very close attention. And when you are negotiating that upfront price, make this as a staple condition. I will pay this price as I buy more. I would also like a volume discount structure. So at some point when I pay and I grow to a certain point, I should be getting better. Table that for a second. I'm telling you in a lot of these contracts, a lot of these deals, the vendor is taking away even you paying what you paid up front. So all of a sudden you need to buy more and it's 25% higher price in 9 months later. Mm-hmm. That is a massive issue right now. And it stems from one of the things I just said a minute ago. They are finding ways to increase the customer's spend over the term because the financial market loves that.
Yeah.
Second one, and this is one that's been around forever, but I've been noticing some additional conditions and problems in the literal terms. The swap rights, the flexibility, those protections, okay? In the world we're in right now, especially when you think AI, where it's new and you're trying to figure out, do I actually need it? How much do I need? I can't really forecast this, but I'm willing to jump in. And then the world happens and you don't actually need everything you needed. That is always been a problem. It's going to now be even a bigger one. If you don't have those swap rights, that flexibility written the right way, one, sometimes AI and consumption base is excluded. Mm-hmm. So that's a problem. Two, often what happens is they limit the set of products you can actually swap within. Problem two. Three, there's a lot of things in there besides just exclusions where they'll literally say like, well, you can swap as long as you keep your spend the same, increase your spend by a certain percentage. So there's problems.
Yeah.
I just think when we talk consumption, we talk AI, we talk new. If you're one of the ones jumping in, instead of a tried and true product that you've been renewing and using for 10 years, where maybe you're going to keep the same volume, it is what it is. You don't forecast any divestitures or business decisions. You have to have that right. You have to have your swap rights, your flexibility, whatever they call it. has to be done correctly. Exchange rights. And then the other one that's a massive risk, we talked about a little bit, we'll talk about more, is the consumption base. And I don't want to talk all the components, but I'll talk one very specifically. And I've been harping on this forever. Feels like forever, but maybe since this became an issue last year. But I just look, and I think this is due diligence part of the client, right? I think you have to, it sounds rudimentary, but if you don't know, as an example, an agent force, it's either conversation based or it's action based, which spits out number of credits, or you'll hear things like tokens, or you'll have in ServiceNow assists. If you don't know what an actual assist is, what a conversation is, how a credit gets drawn down, like simple stuff.
Yeah.
You are in so much, you are in for a world of hurt. 2 reasons. 1, that's what's going to drive your cost. 2, if you're using this across your entity, if you, the person who's responsible for it, don't know, what do you think Sally in marketing, she's not tracking this. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, and then she's used 5,000 tokens and it's, I owe $40,000. What? Like, and I'm being dramatic intentionally, but that simple, like, what is it? What is used for my company?
Yeah.
If you don't get that right, let alone the forecasting you probably have to try to do to figure out how much you need, I'm just telling you that is a massive exposure point that will come back to burn you.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's fair to say the vendors know that. They make it like just complex enough that it can be hard to track if it gets out of hand.
100%. And part of this is tying to, like, look, and again, I'm not judging these vendors. Look, I get it. But part of it is like they're riding the wave. All these C-suite executives or line of business executives are like, oh, we got to use AI. It's going to be great for our company. And I'm not judging AI. But like sometimes that excitement starts to like take out some of the due diligence and like, hey, maybe we should really look a little closer. Everyone's excited. Yeah. Well, I've been excited too. Like when I was a kid, I was super excited for a super soaker. And you're younger than I am. You might know what that is. But I remember I was super excited. And I remember I got it and I wanted to play with it, whatever. And like within 2 seconds, I broke it because I didn't bother to read how to actually pump the water in. And I broke the thing. So I used it for like 2 minutes. And my mom was like, I'm not going to go buy you another super soaker. We don't have the money to go buy you a new one. It's the same thing, right? I mean, that's obviously a lot cheaper. But the point is, you got to like step back, read the instructions, young Adam.
Yeah. Don't break your super soaker.
No. And it can happen quick. And all your friends have their super soakers, and you're like running around and like, hey, I got a water balloon. Like legit. Like that's what it is. Like you got to slow down. You got to like take your time. I know it's easier said than done, but that's again, not like, I can't I did this twice, not to plug us again, but like we can help with that a little bit. Like we can take that risk out by like letting you know what you need to get through.
Well, I think the title of this episode is Don't Break Your Super Soaker.
I mean, I'm actually getting a little emotional.
Well, thank you, Adam. This was a great conversation. I think we're leaving with you and I, number one, have more things to talk about for sure. Yes. More things to dive deep on. And I also think that this, and I also think this will be a good one to look back on towards the end of the year and see how things have developed, how these frustrations have changed or evolved. So yeah, we'll definitely make sure to cover all of that. But thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for this great conversation. And thank you to everyone for listening.
Thank you for listening to Insights for IT Negotiations. This episode was hosted by John Belden and Kylie Chisholm and produced by Mike Brown. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss a new episode. For more information on IT sourcing and risk management strategies, visit upperedge.com and subscribe to our monthly Upper Edge newsletter. Thank you for listening.